Just count yourself in, I think.
It's Friday!
Yeah.
All right.
And we are live from Free Float headquarters.
Wow.
True, we are, all of us.
This is Ari, the Data Queen, and I am your host today, Friday, November 10th. I am joined by analyst hold Matt Scardy, Jesse the Money Whisperer, and ex-host.
Yes, I love the way that sounds.
No, I liked
Excellent.
calling him Hazelnut Rawless. I liked Hazelnut.
I'm good with all that.
Hazelnut. Apparently, that's a very taboo coffee flavor in this office.
Yeah, don't drink the hazelnut.
But on today's weekly wrap-up, we have the founder that just won't fail out of existence. Surprising discrimination.
That's right.
And the labor movement keeps on going, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm very excited about this today. I'm hosting today. I haven't changed the format of the show, right? I don't know who's laughing. Why is the audience laughing at me? But we're going to start with Story
you're
of the
funny.
Week.
All right, let's just do this thing,
Me?
audience.
Yeah, you.
Yes.
Damien gets to go first still.
You're surprised.
It's almost like exactly the same.
I'm ready for it to be, the order to be changed, if that's what Ari wants. All right, here we go. I got some easier stories this week.
Okay.
First of all, WeWork, once valued at $47 billion, files for bankruptcy.
Aww.
It's made up. That's made up.
Maybe to help build a case for Story of the Week, if you want some extra details before you vote, Adam Neumann still worth about $2 billion.
Oh.
New theory that maybe Adam Neumann himself will buy back WeWork and try to make some more money off of the dead carcass. How about this one? There was actually, so one of the concessions that he made with SoftBank
My story.
when he stepped down from leadership roles was that he has a $430 million loan that he's not actually personally on the hook for paying it back.
Oh.
Because if he stops paying, he could just give his shares to SoftBank as collateral, but his shares are worthless now. So now he's off the hook for $430 million loan. So he's actually making
Wow.
What?
Good. I
off of
mean,
this.
good for him.
Deal.
That is he won everywhere.
Dude.
There's actually an article too where he's snarkily commenting about the demise of WeWork, I guess suggesting that he would have failed at it better or something. I don't know.
I don't know how.
That's a good fail up. Yeah, how do you fail better than that?
Then $430 million for nothing, basically.
Next big story, this happened a couple days ago. The SAG-AFTRA Actors Union reaches a tentative labor agreement, but I think everything I'm hearing,
Celebrating tentative now.
the strike in Hollywood is over. The strike lasted 118 days, and remember, directors and writers settled their strikes a few months back. So on top of that, Kaiser Healthcare workers ratify the new contracts. Out of Las Vegas, a huge deal. Caesars reaches a deal with Las Vegas Union. That's 10,000 workers. They're getting a very favorable contract to avoid a strike. And UAW is still in the news saying they're going to pull out all stops organizing non-union automakers. So that's
Watch
the second
out,
story.
Tesla.
I got a question. We talked a lot about the UAW strike. We talked about other strikes. I didn't even remember that the actors were currently still striking.
Well, you're not a big Netflix person. You don't care about
But I
that
mean,
stuff.
there's so much content.
There's so much content.
There's
Yeah,
so much stuff to watch
Yeah.
that you could go 5 years without even noticing that they were on strike.
Yeah.
I mean, if Friends went back on Netflix, Netflix doesn't need another show for 2 years.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Matthew Perry went and died. And
Now people are watching that
and now people
junk.
are watching
Yeah.
that
For the millionth
the
time.
millionth time. Like so like the actors' strike was like it started off as this big movement, and we were talking about it and how it was going to crush things. And in reality, I'm not sure anybody even noticed
Or
that they were
cares.
or cared.
I got to tell you, I have a thread with some friends, and we talk a lot about what we watch on streaming things. And one of the things we've been talking about recently is some nights we spend so much time looking for something
That's
we
correct.
can't find, and we give up after 20 minutes and go read a magazine or a book.
That's
because
correct.
it's just overwhelming and sad. It's all sad.
I miss when you would have one day of the week where it was your show and you make plans around making sure you're going home or meeting up with people for your show. That's done.
Yeah, it's easy.
Well, now you have a baby, so now you make no plans and you watch no shows.
I cry at home.
I cry by myself.
My next two stories are really for Matt. I think Matt's going to really appreciate these two stories.
Are they snoozes?
How dare you? I don't know who are you making fun of there, me or Matt?
I don't know. Am I the one who's upset?
First one I just love because it doesn't happen very often. Vince McMahon. Look, we're the company that's trying to put. We're trying to focus on people, right?
You're
Yeah.
looking for a mission writing on the
Yeah,
wall.
I was looking at the
You literally went to the
My
whiteboard
eyesight,
for that
admitted
mission.
I admitted that my eyesight was failing because I couldn't read the mission statement. We want to focus on people in this company. This is a great story. Vince McMahon himself is listed as a risk factor in the new SEC filing from the company TKO twice.
I love
in two
this.
different ways. Here's the first way. This is a quote from the 10K from TKO. Is this, what's that called?
Holdings company.
What's that
TKO
company called?
Holdings. They used to be Endeavor, and
Yeah, the stock's called TKO.
now
What's the
it's.
name of the company?
I think
TKO
it's called
Holdings?
TKO Holdings. It's not that interesting.
First risk factor, the Special Committee of Independent Members of WWE's Board of Directors investigation into allegations of misconduct by Mr. McMahon, and any further allegations and investigations may have an adverse financial and operational.
Okay.
That's the
All
first one. The second one is just that his membership on our board.
There
Just
we
his
go.
presence.
That's the
His
one I
presence
like.
alone
That's
could have
the
an
one I
adverse
like.
financial and operational impact on our business. Isn't that
I know,
incredible?
this is
I love that
awesome.
one.
And how the hell did he get your board then? Get him off the board.
I don't know. They literally are like, that you exist in this room with us is a risk to us.
If only there was a
And
mechanism.
yet he's still there.
If only there was a company or a mechanism to help you make decisions to get directors off of boards. How about that idea?
That sounds a little bit aggressive. Can you dial it back?
Okay, my fourth story, and this again
stories.
weirdly parallels with our universe here. There's been a lot of reporting about Bridgewater because there's a new book called The Fund: Ray Dalio, Bridgewater Associates, and the Unraveling of a Wall Street Legend. This is out. It's from a journalist at the New York Times.
Is he coming on our show?
What is
Oh, yeah, I'll
Bridgewater?
reach out to him.
Sorry.
What?
Bridgewater?
Bridgewater Associates. It's a hedge fund.
Hedge fund.
So it's all about just the craziness of Bridgewater. There's a thousand Bobby Kotick-esque stories that I could go into, but this is the one I'm going to focus in. Bridgewater rigged its famous believability weighting system after founder Ray Dalio complained that some employees scored higher than him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so Dahlia's idea at the time was to have something like a baseball card for each employee.
Ooh, wow.
Visible to
What a
everyone.
great idea.
Visible to everyone in the company and ranking them on dozens of different attributes in an attempt to spell out their strengths and weaknesses. Categories included things like determination, practical thinking, and visualization. And according to the book, one metric, believability, which was the combination of all the ratings in each category, that was the important one. That's the one where he was under certain employees, so he rigged it that he became the baseline. His believability was the baseline.
That's
of
correct. That's correct.
this is an incredible story.
This actually rivals the Verizon CEO story that you pulled earlier in the year, where that guy was rating his mood on a 0 to 10 scale every single day in a spreadsheet for like a decade. This is basically Ray Dalio saying we require free flow analytics, isn't it? Isn't that what this says?
Matt, I thought we had an ingenious idea to create these like baseball cards for executives and directors. Ray Dalio already thought of it.
I know. Well, but we did it for everybody.
Yeah, and we
so
still
you
have
out
it.
there in the universe, go get it.
Yeah.
Matt is secretly making his own baseball card and making himself the best performing
Good.
director.
I'm the
I can't
benchmark.
wait.
So the 4 stories are WeWork, filing for bankruptcy, SAG-AFTRA.
Wait, Matt became the host again?
No, well, you
He
never
always
do.
does
I always
that.
do this part.
I know, but okay.
You want
you
Jesse and
don't.
Ari to do this?
I mean, sort of, kind of.
All right. Well,
We do too much work already.
Yeah, it's
please.
true. WeWork files for
tried.
bankruptcy,
I tried, audience.
SAG-AFTRA.
I try to give you more Ari. People always tell me they love Ari.
That's
I tried.
enough. Damien.
The Actors Union settles. Vince McMahon is a risk factor, just in general, and Bridgewater's believability weighting system and baseball cards.
All right. Well, I'm voting last because I'm host. So,
Oh, wow.
Damien, you go first.
No, Damien
I don't
can't vote on
actually
his
get to
own.
vote.
Oh,
It's
shoot.
it's
I forgot how
just
this works.
Jesse and I.
I'll break the tie if there's a tie.
Jesse, do you have a vote first?
I don't know what I'd vote on this
I
one.
think that I'm going to vote Vince McMahon because I covered him a lot in
very
my
free flow.
exhaustingest
Yes.
stories. So the fact that they're fine. I mean, they should kick him off the board, but the fact that they're admitting this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I like
That
that.
a person is a risk factor.
Yeah.
Right, in two different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There we go.
I'm actually gonna agree that I think Vince McMahon being a risk factor. It's not often that you see the founder and ex-chair, ex-founder, like someone who owns what does he own, 10 or 12% of the shares
Well,
of the combined company?
Yeah, in related news, he's actually selling $100 million worth of shares.
I think 700 million is what I read.
700
million dollars worth.
Yeah,
it's
so
100 million shares.
Is he
or
pissed
something.
off because he saw himself in the...
But it's just not often that
concerned?
you literally see like I went looking in the Tesla annual report to see if Elon Musk is listed as a risk, and the risks that they list is that they like lose Elon Musk because he's a genius.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
like,
sure.
but this is like that guy existing is a risk.
Yeah.
Like I just love that you don't see that
True,
that
though.
often. So I'm going with that one.
Jesse's correct. It's a sweep.
Oh,
Wow,
Jesse's
it is a sweep. It is a sweep. Which brings us to the next section, which is what? I don't know.
My section. Goodliest of the week this week.
There it is.
I gotta admit, not as many good stories as last week. I only have, it's 2 categories this week.
Oh.
First up, U.S. labor movement is still having a moment.
Aw.
And
this.
actually what caught my
A lot of
attention
moments. A lot of moments.
was the Caesars. So
Yes.
it's this headline. Caesars reaches deal with Las Vegas union to avoid strike. I think it was 10,000 hospitality workers that almost went on strike. The deadline was 2 days from now, right before the Formula One race?
Yeah. Yeah.
Formula
It's a race.
One thing that
Race.
happens there.
Yeah, not the baby Formula One. It's Formula One cars.
Right. If it was the baby formula, nobody would care. But, yeah. So they didn't even need to go on strike. They reached an agreement on, I don't know if it's tentative or not.
Well, the good news is that just the threat of a strike is
Right.
even more impactful now
Right.
because of the geniuses at UAW.
So I was happy to hear that. And then, as you mentioned, Damien, Kaiser healthcare workers, right? They did go on a 3-day strike in early October. That's 75,000 healthcare workers across the nation that went on strike, the largest strike for healthcare workers.
Right.
And then there was an article in the New York Times. This is the headline: Our family can have a future. Ford workers on a new union contract.
Ooh.
It's kind of uplifting and sad at the same time.
Our families can have a
Yeah.
future. I like the alternative.
But that means that 3 days ago they couldn't, which is just depressing.
Yeah, that's a little sad.
Yeah.
GM employees returned to work after a 17-day strike in Brazil.
Yeah,
And,
why did they get some kind of concessions? Is that why?
I just really focused on the headline.
Sorry, I'll keep my mouth shut.
No, but they did. I did skim it, and they raised pay.
Okay, that's a concession.
And pharmacy walkout organizers help launch national push to unionize pharmacists and technicians.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
last week, or I think it was last week, I called what I thought was the top of union movement.
The top.
Yeah, like
Oh.
the
Got
UAW settling. I thought like, okay, well, this is probably the top. I mean, like it seems like
It
where
doesn't
else?
get
is it?
better from here.
But it does look like everybody's basically taking a book out of Sean Fain's playbook and saying, how can we strategically hurt the companies that have basically spent 2 decades limiting our pay and benefits?
Yeah.
And hurting us. Also, I don't know if you've been to a pharmacy lately, but
I want to go actually.
the one by my house, they've changed
that
their
one.
hours, so they open at 9 a.m. now. And I have been there a couple of times at 9 a.m., but they can't open because the pharmacist hasn't come into
Is
work
drunk?
yet
Okay.
because they're overworked, understaffed.
Oh.
And if you're trying to get a prescription filled, they don't guarantee same-day prescription filling anymore.
You know what's scary
So-
is looking at those prescription buckets. That's
Buckets?
a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Buckets.
It's a
Cat
lot.
organizers.
Prescription bucket? That sounds delicious. I don't know. What is that?
All I know is that when I went to go get like a COVID booster last year, not this year, I went to I actually set up online appointments in 3 different
nightmare.
places, showed up, and no one
Forget
was
it.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like literally no one was there, and I was like, "Wait a minute, how can no one be here?" I set
Yep.
up an appointment.
That
They were
happened to my
like,
dear old mom.
sorry.
Too. Yeah, she's
Right.
80.
It's like the app that you can where you schedule your things. Do not talk to the actual pharmacies.
I mean, like, and the pharmacists were like, rightly like, I don't give 2 fucks.
Right.
You don't pay me. I
Can't
don't get
help you.
extra. I'm
Well,
not coming in.
On a related note, the last time I went to get my shots a month ago at CVS, I actually ended up taking pictures of the area where I got my shot because it was strewn with trash. And I was like, this is not a very good feeling. Like, this is America at its heart. Right?
Yeah.
We think
Trash-strewn
we're number 1, but
vaccine.
it's like trash strewn.
Wow, trash. Okay, so number 1 then is the union movement.
Yep. And number 2, women's soccer.
Ooh,
Wait,
I like
what?
women's soccer.
That's
Yep.
how is that good, women's soccer? I mean, I like women's soccer.
Well, good news coming from women's
Okay.
soccer. First of all, Netflix is set to release a series on the U.S. women's national team 2023 World Cup run.
Oh, but
That's just
that's
a
a run
sad-
that ended in sadness, though.
Sadness.
Oh, I thought it was on the one they won. I didn't realize it's the one they lost.
No, this is going to be their
Oh.
three-peat.
Oh.
they
Oh.
did lose in round of
Okay,
16.
but I'm gonna
I
watch
think.
it anyway. Yeah.
Right. The fact that Netflix coming out with a four
But
episode
Yeah.
docuseries about a women's run that doesn't even mean like when they didn't even win.
Yeah,
And it
This is
highlights
great.
like all the pressures that they had because there was a lot of pressure because they just
because they won the
raised-
last 2 World
well,
Cups.
and they raised their pay, and so there was all these eyes on them.
Not to mention
blah,
that they're
blah, blah.
infinitely more popular than the men's team. I can name like 8 women's players. I can
Totally.
name 0, I think, actually, men's players.
I do like, though, that they were criticized. The loss was criticized as a result of them going woke and like getting equal pay and all that
Except
stuff.
they've been woke forever.
Except for
Yeah.
the fact that they won. This was a 3-peat year.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
they've won for the last
already
8
woke, too.
years.
Where
Yeah.
are expectations?
and
that were like,
and we're complaining because they didn't win a 3rd one in a row. That's what because of the wokeness.
Maybe we can buy a new women's team on Public Square.
I think they're
Like
available.
an
Yeah, they're
unwoke
increasingly
players.
available.
Okay.
American-made players on Union Square.
Unlike our original American-made players, yeah.
and the National Women's Soccer League
Ooh.
scored a new 4-year deal
Oh.
with CBS, ESPN, Prime
big
Video,
deal. It's a
and
big deal.
Scripps Sports. Well, the reason
Sports.
I've never heard of them.
Never heard of
Prescription sports.
Scripts, a bucket of sports scripts.
But the reason why this is such a big deal is because the deal is valued at $240 million,
Nice.
which is 40 times their previous 3-year agreement with CBS.
That's probably how much ESPN pays for one preseason game of the NFL.
I don't even think it's one.
Yeah, okay. But that's great. I mean, I think it's about time.
Yeah.
Progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so there are 2 big stories here: the U.S. labor movement having a moment, and women's.
Oh, you're not giving us a lot of choices
Soccer.
here.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I wonder where you're trying to push us here.
It's
Well,
almost
you
like
did
we've been
suggest
really
2
busy
stories.
working on a pitch deck and trying to get investor capital.
I'll vote first. I am going to vote for the U.S. labor
I mean,
movement.
that seems
Yeah.
obvious. I'll just keep it interesting because I actually sent this story to Ari. Originally, I thought it was about the women's winning World Cup. But that's okay.
I'm
No,
sorry
no,
to disappoint.
I
that
sent
he
the
win
story
a
to you.
3rd time in a row.
I like that you're disappointed with the
I
story
know.
you sent to
I'm a
Ari
big-
for good
I'm a
list.
big fanboy of the team. I saw them in the World Cup in Paris, one of the best sporting events I ever went to in my life. I'm going to vote for women's soccer.
You saw them?
Yes, absolutely.
And that is actually the wrong answer.
Okay,
The right answer
jeez.
is the labor movement.
Oh.
So that means that we're on to whatever's next. What is next?
As holiest of the week.
Yay! So there are 4 assholes that I have here.
Oh.
But they're mostly pretty short. I kind of phoned it in this week, if I'm being honest, because I've been busy working on a pitch deck to get investor capital. That's what I've been
We're
busy
raising
doing.
money, huh?
Yes, I hear that we're raising money for this incredibly wonderful and genius product that we built.
If I was a billionaire, I would invest in it.
Yeah, we have a bunch of billionaire listeners, so I'm expecting to get calls from them now. First up, Damien pulled this story, and ironically, I can't believe that this story came out because before the headline hit, I was doing exactly this.
We've both done this before.
I mean, we've done it before,
yeah.
but I did a
Individually.
full.
What
It's
could
hard
this
not
be?
to.
This
actually.
week, I spent the whole week
Such a
filling out a
cliffhanger.
spreadsheet to do this. Meta's oversight board and the need for a new theory of online gaslighting never fared so well as the oversight board. This story covers the anniversary for the beginning work of the Meta oversight board is October of 2020. Since then, this is the 3-year anniversary. 53 decisions have come out. Wow, 53 in 3 years. That's an average of 17 per year, 1.5 per month.
They're busy.
And that's a giant board too, right? There's a lot of intellectual
There
power
are-
on that board.
There are some really, really powerful
Yeah.
people, and
They're
just
slow. They're just slow.
wow, the crowd can't get over how many they've managed to accomplish. And just to be clear, those cases represent less than 0.00001% of all moderation decisions
Are you sure
made.
it's that high?
It's lower. It's less than. It's
Okay.
less
How
than.
much do you get paid to be on this oversight
It's
board?
not too shabby.
What it is,
Remember, Mark's paying you.
You're talking
Smart.
about a company that makes 6 million moderation decisions basically a year, and they have managed 53 to look at 53 of them.
Wow.
Ari, the fun thing, Ari, is that your boss, who you're paying, is the one he's the one you're being paid to provide oversight of. The guy who's paying you.
Yeah, that guy pays you, and
Yeah, your boss.
you oversee
No
him.
conflict of interest.
No, none.
So here's the stats: 79% of those 53 have been overturned.
Okay.
So Meta got it wrong in 79% of the
Oh, my
cases that they
goodness.
actually looked at. Now, if you assume that of like the 6 million cases that they have to look at annually, or billion, I don't know, it's like a massive number. You assume that 50% of them are really, really obvious. Like it's just somebody who's like, just spewing the most obvious hate speech that you could possibly think of. And if you assume that of the remaining 50%, probably 50% of that is near obvious or bots, right? Like, and then you're just detecting patterns, you're getting rid of them. Let's say 25% of them overall are they're on the fence.
Okay.
That means that in 79% of the cases that actually got looked at, Meta made the wrong decision.
That's insane.
You're
That's an F.
talking about millions of moderation decisions they probably are getting wrong on on an annual basis, right? The average turnaround time is 8 to 10 months after the initial decision gets made. So this oversight board can't even look at the decisions in they're just under a year, a shade under a year. They finally actually have a decision to make about the decision.
And then it's wrong.
And then they're mostly wrong. In fact, what they found is like in cases where Meta left a post up and it should have been taken down, those posts get hundreds of thousands of views.
Wow.
Like where they're spewing some sort of hate speech or giving hundreds of thousands of views. So I would like to nominate Meta's oversight board and this whole gaslight as on the 3-year anniversary. What a fucking shit show. What is the point of this?
I'm Googling on the fly here, but it looks like the Supreme Court itself handles about 100 decisions a year.
Yeah, the Supreme Court that has half the size of Meta's oversight board.
Yeah.
And
with slightly more impact on society. Yeah.
well, the
maybe
difference
not, I
is
don't know,
difference is if you assume the court system in whole, right, like has more people, then sure, maybe. But this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So that's number one. Number two.
So wait, just so we're clear, who's the asshole there? The oversight board itself?
It's
or Meta?
It's the whole system.
whole
It's
world,
Meta
whole system,
oversight,
whole system.
Meta's oversight board, and the fact that it exists. It's the ultimate gaslight. Number two, this headline popped, and I'm nominating Bob Iger. Is Disney's new CFO its next CEO?
Oh, this is my prediction.
You
Okay.
see what you did, Bob? Do you see what you did?
I have some free flow analytics stats to talk about my prediction about
I
this.
saw, and so I'm not going to go into this, but the fact that Bob Iger boomerangs and they couldn't find a CEO for so long, now literally anyone joins Disney, and the headline is that person the next CEO?
And
It's like they hired a mailroom clerk, and they're wondering if it's going to be the CEO.
I'll give you a quick teaser to our free flow analytics is that he might have found the right puppet.
Ooh,
Yeah. So I'll
that's
talk
because that's
about
what
that
they
later.
needed, another puppet.
But again, only our data can reflect this. Only our data can demonstrate that fact that I'm not just saying he's a puppet to be funny. Like our data demonstrates that he might actually be a good puppet.
Do you hear that, potential investors?
Yeah.
All right, number three. Adam Neumann fires subtle shots at his WeWork successors. You already covered WeWork's bankruptcy
Demise.
and demise.
Infamous demise.
But here's
But
Adam.
he's talking crap.
Here's his quote. Quote, "It has been challenging for me to watch from the sidelines since 2019 as WeWork has failed to take advantage of a product that is more relevant today than ever before."
Is that even true? After the COVID era, is that even true that it's more relevant today?
All I know is that he's basically saying that the WeWork
Everyone
that
else.
after he left, they failed to take advantage of this opportunity.
But there's an absolute crisis in American cities filling office space. What the hell is he talking about?
He's talking as a guy who made $1 billion, getting bought out of a company that's worth $0.
Completely wrong. Wrong.
Which Masayoshi-san,
Yeah.
if you're listening, I'm going to talk to the camera
He
here.
should be our
Definitely
investor.
are.
If you're listening,
Yeah.
we could use $1 billion, and I guarantee you we won't fail.
And can I
I'll
add
even
to
grow
that?
my hair out.
Can I add to that? We could help you identify outliers like Adam Neumann to get rid of before you invest.
Yeah,
in them. Yeah.
it's a twofer. You
Yeah.
get the due diligence built in, and I'll grow flowing locks, and I'll do yoga, and everybody wins. So Adam Neumann as fail up asshole of the week. And then finally, this story wouldn't have caught my eye, and I just happened to read it. Here's the headline: Citigroup to pay $25.9 million to settle U.S. discrimination claims.
Okay, sounds on brand.
Yeah, but what is the brand that you assume? What's the immediate assumption?
Well, women or people of color.
Denying
Yeah, right. Gays,
Loans.
women, people-
mortgages to black people.
Right,
exactly. And 25.9 million, you hear that number and
a
you
low
think
number.
immediately nothing, right?
Yeah,
Like
right.
a multi-billion-dollar bank. What's that?
Cost of Jesse's new house.
So I actually read it, and that made it weirdly more jarring to me having read it, because the CFPB, which is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, found that from 2015 to 2021, Citigroup managers trained employees to stereotype applicants suspected of being Armenian.
Yeah, what is this?
Because their last names ended in IAN or YAN, believing them likely to commit fraud.
What is this? First
Armenians.
of all, I have two questions. Do I qualify as a Damien? Is that close enough?
Yeah, I think it's last names.
And
it's
second of all,
surnames.
why do you think they targeted Armenians?
So Armenia, if you don't know where it is sits between Iran and like Turkey,
Yeah.
and it's basically a Middle Eastern country that's
Yeah.
on the border of Europe, Middle East, right?
Yep.
So they suspect they were going after money laundering rings that were coming through Armenia, and actually California has a high Armenian population in this one town, so they had these suspicions. But what they did was they effectively denied loans or made like for basic credit cards to Armenian families because they were Armenian, having no evidence of
Armenian
anything
American
else.
families.
Armenian
crazy.
American. They didn't
Crazy.
care. They just like looked at the last name and
Yeah.
they made them jump through more hoops and then denied more products. The bank said it was a few bad apples that were misinterpreting the sort of like compliance laws. But the CFPB director, Rohit Chopra, told reporters Wednesday that Citigroup was a repeat violator of consumer protection laws, having paid more than $1 billion in fines since 2015.
Wow.
And just so you know, on Citigroup's board, there's only one director on the 13-person board that bats above 300 on controversies. They are stacked with controversial directors. And just in case you thought they were all directors who just sit on Citigroup's board, half the board sit on multiple boards. They're on at
They
least two
truly
boards,
suck.
including one guy who's on 4 other boards, right?
Wow.
Oddly, we have a mechanism to help investors target some of these directors to vote.
Oh, we
out?
do. Yeah, we have all the data to do that. It would be
Also,
great if
it's
they did.
nice to know that our data's correct.
Yeah, it is correct.
just
The
proving it.
one thing I found that I thought was interesting is Jane Fraser, who's the CEO of Citi, is actually less influence than another person on Citi's board, Peter Henry.
Is Peter the chair?
He's
lead
not
director?
even the chair. He's not even the chair. But so it's a very odd situation.
Well, except that we've talked about this at Goldman Sachs. Also, DJ D. Saul. Am I allowed to call him that anymore?
Yeah, he's not a DJ.
He's not DJing, but can I still call him that?
No, he's just D. Saul now.
DJ Emeritus.
Right.
Is that word?
But he also
Emeritus.
maybe this is a function of certain U.S. banks, but he also doesn't have a lot of power influence-wise, right?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Right, and I think it isn't unique to banks. I think it's normal. So
Citigroup managers trained employees. That part got me.
Someone had to train them. Someone had to tell them, like, look out for the IANs.
Bad apple,
Gus.
Gus.
But
bad apple.
Armenians. Like we don't. No one talks about Armenian
Unless you live in Los
discrimination.
Angeles. Yeah,
it's
that's
really,
about it.
it's special. So those are your 4 options. Meta's Oversight Gaslight, Disney's Bob Iger for making us constantly think everyone's going to be the next CEO. Adam Newman's giant fail up, and
This
on
is
his
easy
way,
for me. This is easy.
failing up, saying it's somebody else's fault for not capitalizing on the opportunity, and Citigroup's discrimination against Armenians of all people.
This is easy for me. I'll go first because this might be my last opportunity to do this. I mean, this might be it for me.
Are you quitting?
Are you dying?
This might be my last chance to vote Adam Neumann as the assholiest of the
Oh,
week.
wow. Yeah.
Take the opportunity. I
If
mean,
there's one thing we know about him, is that he's going to keep on coming
one of the
back.
supremest assholes in the history of our company, I would think, is Adam Neumann.
If there's one thing we know about him, it's that Mark
rise
Andreessen's
again. He'll
largest
rise again.
single investment was in Adam Newman's new company.
Yes. What is it?
He invested
like
$300
high
million.
heels for poodles or something? What is he doing?
No, he has a company called Flow, which is basically
Nobody knows what it does.
No one's quite sure, but it's exactly WeWork. He just reinvented
Great.
WeWork
Thanks,
with
Adam.
different yoga babble.
Yeah.
So
That's my vote.
It's a
All right,
vote
got
for Adam Newman.
Jesse?
I am going to vote for Meta's Oversight Board.
Ooh, that's a
we don't
good
talk
one.
enough about oversight boards. I'm glad it's getting some hate today.
I read the last few decisions that they made, and they're so thoughtful about such stupid shit. It's unbelievable. It's like a post of someone doing a juice cleanse,
it's like
and
when
they spent 7 years to decide whether or not it violated a term.
It's like those very verbal NFL referees that spend 3 minutes describing why, like, a
Ed
fumble-
Hockley.
Yeah, like why the ground caused a fumble or something. And it's like a treatise on like grass growing and ball slipperiness. And it's just
This is
yeah, we don't care.
Cut him off, Ari.
Whose ball is it?
It's a reference nobody would understand, but it is funny. And the ref's like,
Seth would
we
understand.
saw the ball hit the line at this particular angle, and the rules state that. Yeah, it's for 7 minutes. Ari, what's your vote?
Well, the correct vote
Oh.
is Meta's Oversight Board.
Wow.
What a bunch of jerks.
Winner.
Wow, Meta's Oversight Board just
What
took that
a
category.
bunch of jerks.
That's surprising to me. I would have thought everyone would have gone for Adam Newman. That's why I put him in there.
No, he's a tired asshole. I'm tired.
A tired asshole.
He's exhausting us.
Speaking of which, that's a perfect segue.
Coming up.
Wow,
Jesse,
this could
please
not have
exhaust us all.
this could not have been more perfect because guess who my first article is about?
Well,
Not
I think I just gave it away.
Bob
The
Iger.
headline
Please be Bob Iger.
is a possible winner from WeWork's troubles, Adam
He's
Neumann.
already a winner. What does that mean? He's already a winner.
He's a billionaire.
So basically, Damien kind of already went into this. This article focused on that concession that he made, the $430 million loan that he doesn't basically have to pay back.
Crazy.
So
if he forfeits his shares.
this is correct.
Right.
But he
Which
kind
they're
of
worthless now. They're worthless.
But yeah, why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he?
What's the opportunity cost? So he's at least up 400 well, they said his shares are like 4 million. So he's up
Only
$426 million.
million.
Oh my God, he's gonna
So
sell them, right?
that's story number one. I don't have to go into much more because we've
No,
all
let's not
covered
say
him.
anymore. I want to punch myself in the groin.
All right. So my second story is a little bit longer, so you have to bear with me, but it's so exhausting. So the headline is Crypto CEO steps down after misogynistic rant.
There's nothing shocking about that statement.
There's
Yeah.
not.
no.
That's
Yeah,
what
there
makes
is.
it
But the
exhausting.
stuff that he's
The
saying.
steps
True.
down is shocking.
That's true. That's true.
Sure, but I don't know if you'll think that that's enough after I
can't wait
read
to
to you.
hear. Okay.
So,
Okay.
GiveTree founder and CEO Sam Joel.
Give
I-
a tree.
GiveTree. I
So
already hate it.
what
Two
GiveTree
first
is he created this while he was homeless from an internet cafe. So he got a lot of like sympathy
Wow,
points.
he's got a story.
But he created GiveTree for gamers to donate to other organizations via crypto. like a way for
okay,
them to do
sure.
that.
Okay, sure.
So
I don't care.
So Sam
but good.
Joel
Yeah.
made misogynistic comments to several women in response to an article about championing women in startups on LinkedIn.
So he had to get involved with that.
Wait, he did it on LinkedIn.
on LinkedIn, a professional network.
And he's trolling championing women in startups.
In startups.
That's a great cause.
So
yeah.
here are
There's
some of the
4 of them.
comments. Here are some of the comments. So the classic, get off your period, get good.
Oh, wow.
And I want you to pay
Holy
attention
moly.
to the grammar because
Yeah.
it's deplorable. So get off your period, get good, earn your salary with skill, not PR, LOL, pathetic.
Wait, he said this
These are
on
comments.
LinkedIn.
So
I've
they've
never heard
since
get
been
off your
erased,
period.
but these are journalists that all witnessed these.
Is this Elon Musk actually talking?
No, there's scary. It's scary, but there's more of them. Okay, here's the next. Bang you, then abortion.
Oh, what does that even mean? I don't even know what that
I
means.
feel dirty even making a joke about this, but is this Grok the new
I don't
the
know.
new AI from Elon Musk?
No,
The
this is a
rude
person.
AI. These are actual persons.
Here we go. There's more. Are you single? Should we make a better baby? Assuming I want to bang you because let's be honest, you look fat.
Wow. Ooh.
This is all on LinkedIn.
Crazy.
So then he also wrote about diversity and how it's the dumbest shit of the entire century.
Of all the things in our
Dumbest.
century, this is the dumbest.
This is the
Diversity.
dumbest.
And this is why.
The century.
Wow.
This is why it's dumb. Somehow,
I thought Friends
women
was
have
pretty dumb.
secured the majority of employment in most verticals and still complaining. Classic women.
Wow.
So LinkedIn,
You're depressing me, Jesse.
this was brought to LinkedIn. They decided that the comments didn't contravene the professional community policy and refrained from taking them down and removing him from the platform because that's what there was 3 main targets, 3 women that were targeted by these, and that's what they wanted. So LinkedIn refused to. So then
Yeah, that
one
I
of
don't
They need
mind.
an oversight board.
well, seriously. So
Pete
one of the
Hoffman.
targets ended up speaking out, and she created a post. She's a CEO and founder of a fintech company.
He was attacking a CEO and founder of a fintech
company, super
Good for
fierce,
Him. Good
yeah.
for him.
And she spoke out, and this is what her post said. Here we are still dealing with it. This was days after. Reams of emails, conversations, and activity are going behind the scenes trying to create action and protection for women. And so, even putting aside the fact that I'm shaking with revulsion, anger, and frustration, I'm furious that the time I should have been spending on my family and business is being diverted to having to fight for a fair, bloody go. I should not have to fight to not be sexually harassed, belittled, and abused on a professional network.
Oh, I am exhausted. And
So, and then to just to top it all off, GiveTree itself has labeled his comments misogynistic. He did not. And they put out a statement on his behalf, and they said he's sorry. Sam would like to wholeheartedly
Wait, what?
apologize.
They're
They
apologizing
apologized
for him?
He's deeply
Yep.
sorry.
They
Like
apologized.
Lloyd's.
I've never seen this kind of apology
Yep.
before.
And they reported that he's going to go to therapy to address his sexist and at times misogynistic.
my
Wait, so
God.
but he lost his job, no?
He stepped down, but
Probably
I don't
temporarily, right? I mean,
Really
he's still a
know.
founder,
I
owns
don't
all the
really know
shares,
that
probably.
that's enough
Right.
because this isn't the first instance of him doing stuff like it wasn't on LinkedIn, but he did get kicked out of like an accelerator program because he was
A jerk.
leaving misogynistic comments to other female founders.
Not to take this story in a completely different direction, but meanwhile, the LinkedIn co-founder is preparing a campaign to vote out 2 women of color in the U.S. Congress, right?
Yep.
Isn't that what Reid Hoffman is up to over there?
Yeah, he's yelling
spending
at
his
them.
billions targeting a couple
Well,
of the women who disagree with something he
Trickle
thinks.
down culture. It's
Yeah,
not
there you go.
surprising that
It's
they
not.
didn't
It's
take
not.
it off.
I mean, I wish GiveTree had just written whatever their apology was the way he wrote his comments. So like it would be like, you
Like
know,
troll haiku?
like Sam Joel is currently getting off his period.
Pathetic.
And he hasn't been earning his salary with skill, just PR, LOL.
Yeah. Sam Joel Musk a-hole.
Like and he might be the dumbest shit of the entire century.
Except as we're learning, this is behavior that's also celebrated in other circles, right? I mean, Elon would be celebrating this as an anti-woke manifesto.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't get over the
Maybe Elon's
century,
gonna
the
call him.
dumbest
The century.
shit of the
Yeah.
century.
Yeah.
That would be 1923 was 100 years ago. There
Yeah.
wasn't anything dumber.
Yeah. What about
than
Everybody Loves Raymond? That was
Like,
pretty
how,
dumb.
how about diversity between 1923 and now?
Yeah.
Nothing? Not
about-
one thing.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
It's just crazy.
Jesse, you always do your job very well. I'm already exhausted from your first 2 stories.
All right.
And there's more.
Oh boy.
Next story. Okay, so this one I really want you guys to weigh in on. I'm going to present what I thought was exhausting about it first, but then I read into it and it might actually be a good thing, so you guys can all weigh in on this. But
you're arguing with yourself?
Anti-exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted with your
it could be
self-argument.
goodliest or it could be exhaustingest, and this is a first. So here's the headline. Amazon announces new benefit for Prime members. Primary care services for $9 per month. So,
but I have to pay for my new benefit?
well... Yeah, but it's $9 per
$9
month.
a month.
You're saving $100. Okay,
Less
so
than Netflix.
you would get, here's the details. You would get virtual primary care through One Medical.
Virtual primary care.
Okay.
Yeah, it's One Medical does virtual. Amazon acquired them last year. So you're
they're
getting
like,
access.
They're like, can you touch your neck if you feel any? Is that what they're going to do?
Well, of course, it's not applicable for every case,
Take your
but
temperature, dummy. Is that what they're going to say?
primary care, access to primary care has been shown to really increase the health of communities. So
Okay, all right.
just being seen to like talk about
True.
something is helpful. So anyways, you can access One Medical for $200 a year, and Amazon Prime members can get it for $99
You
with
don't
this.
sound exhausted by this, Jesse.
I'm just reading you the details.
Okay.
Here's what I'm exhausted about.
Okay, good.
I'm exhausted that Amazon, of all places, even the Walmarts, even the whatever, they have to. Our healthcare infrastructure is so deplorable that they have this bright path in that's like actually appealing to people, because we're like, oh, $9 a month. Because after I read it, I'm like, so first I'm like, okay, but people that can't afford access to healthcare or primary care physicians are probably not allocating money to a Prime membership.
But they're
But
smart.
a Prime membership plus the $99 a month is less than any
Yeah.
insurance
And
that you can access.
If you get SNAP benefits, you get a reduced cost.
Except that
Yes.
the insurance that you're buying that's more expensive than that also means you can
Assuming you're
go
buying
to
insurance.
a doctor and sometimes
Well, a
the
lot of it is
hospital and get-
catastrophic, though. So you pay for anything, or I guess if you're in the hospital, it'd be covered, but nothing else is covered.
I'm
So
guessing
you're
they're
paying out
targeting
of
the
pocket.
uninsured too. Are they not? Probably targeting uninsured.
Also,
I'm sure,
rural
yeah.
areas
Yeah.
that don't have a
They're
lot of.
I mean,
yeah,
look-
that's a big one because you might live very far away.
Can I add just one thing here before
Yeah.
Matt takes over?
Yeah.
When you say they at Amazon, are we talking about Jeff Bezos?
Yeah, that's the only
Controls-
he controls 67% of the
The guy
influence.
who is
Yeah.
moving to Miami.
Well, just imagine when
So
he
he can reduce
when
his
he
tax
taps
bill?
into the healthcare when he
parents are
taps into
fine
the
there.
healthcare market, how much more influence Amazon is
but
going to
his
have.
taxes alone, Jesse could probably build some health clinics in
Definitely.
Nebraska, maybe. Yeah.
Definitely.
I do get the exhausting part, which is that like our system is so
We're
like, this is
outsourcing-
literally
So
we're
broken.
Outsourcing everything.
we're talking about a very America specific problem. Like nowhere else in the world are we talking about this. And hoping that our brilliant like corporate
Billionaires,
overlords
Jeff
can get us
Bezos.
more efficient healthcare, and maybe
Yeah.
I can talk to a doctor for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like and this is like a subscription service, right? Which means like they're treating it like Netflix for my like my bladder problems.
I mean, they are. Yeah.
which is not how I want to treat my bladder
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right.
And they get your data for your bladder problems.
Yeah, just wait until AI is
Ooh, that's
the
true,
actual
that's
one
true.
answering your questions. So
Is it going to be the jerky one from Elon Musk? It's going to be yelling at you because you're peeing wrong?
yeah, it's gonna be like your piece sucked anyway,
Yeah.
asshole. All right, here are your three exhaustingest of the week. Adam Neumann, maybe you don't have to say anymore. Is crypto CEO and his misogynistic rant, and Amazon's new Prime benefit is primary care services.
Wait, can I ask one question, Jesse? Which part? I know the crypto CEO, the stepping down from the misogynist rant is horrible, and he's definitely a big asshole. Which is the exhausting part that they just keep having to deal with these stories?
Get off your
Is
period.
is that they
Exhausting.
can cause all of this harm and then just get like a slap on the wrist.
Right.
Like to me, him stepping down is just like a slap on the wrist.
And
He's not
true.
taken off of LinkedIn, so he can
Right.
keep
Till he's homeless
he
again,
can keep saying harmful stuff.
and he makes another crypto coin.
And to your point, Jesse, that he even has this platform, this medium to
Totally.
like expose his horrible thoughts.
Like I truly don't even know how he became
why
a
did-
founder speaking like this.
You
Like
know
I don't get it.
And I'm clearly going to vote for this one. The other thing that exhausts me about this is that the women who are just on this platform for networking or whatever,
Yeah.
they have no choice but to be subjected to this misogyny because they're just there to network. But you can't. It's not like it filters out horrendous misogyny. They have to.
and that's
they
the other.
have to deal with this.
That's the other exhausting thing. Is
have
it
to.
should, right?
I can't believe he was sending these messages or writing these things with his name attached to it.
I know.
Like, where is your
On
burner
LinkedIn,
account?
you have to.
Where
right?
is
Don't
your
they ask for
burner
your
account?
ID on
Where is your
LinkedIn?
burner account?
No, LinkedIn.
He's the
does.
crypto CEO.
thought
I'm
you
sure
put
you
your
can
name
come
in
up with
LinkedIn.
one.
You put any name you want.
Oh.
And you want to know how I know you can
is
put
that just
any name you
Airbnb?
want?
You have to say who
because
you are?
on a daily basis, I get some spam that says, "Are you interested in building a franchise? Please contact me for franchise opportunities." And I report them all to LinkedIn as spam, and LinkedIn comes back and says it doesn't actually go against our rules on spam. And it's like, well, what does exactly? What does one have to do
So
to be considered
see how much
spam?
that annoys you. Imagine if someone was telling you to get off
Well,
your
that's
period.
that's. I mean, I think
Get
actually
off you. How do you even get off?
the
your
more
period?
exhausting thing.
What is the mechanism there that you get off your period? What
or
do you do?
or bang you than abortion. Come on.
I don't even
know.
get. I don't
What
even
is he
get, I don't even
suggesting
get
though?
what that
you,
one is.
you remove your uterus? Like, what do you do when you get off your period? I don't understand that.
Yeah, mostly like he's an asshole, and it feels like LinkedIn and the social media complex that doesn't really have any
Well,
incentive to stop him
yeah.
from being an asshole.
Well, that's why I'm voting for, because I'm exhausted by the idea that women, by waking up every morning, they might be subjected to this level.
But
of
frankly,
misogyny.
like I know for women, this is most definitely 10,000 years of exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little glad that this one stayed up because there is nothing more like revealing than when someone does like this. I think it's like the subtle like microaggressions or micro misogyny that I feel like is really pernicious. This is so fucking
your
obvious.
face.
Like it's so in your face. And LinkedIn was like, it's okay to
Are
stay
you
up.
voting for this?
Yes, I'm voting. I think there's no way to not vote for
Sorry.
this.
Dude, Adam Neumann.
Oh,
Just
wow.
stop.
Too bad you lost. So that means exhausting-us of the week is crypto misogyny, which brings us to...
No, you're really not going to let Ari host. You're not going to let her do it.
I
not?
do this on every show.
I'm trying to get Ari to host the show.
Who won the week?
Yeah,
Ian?
see?
Tell me. Tell me who won the week.
I mean, this is kind of a good victory, but a sad victory that even had to be in this position in the first place. But I'm definitely voting for women in Ohio who
Oh, the
enacted-
elections.
Yeah,
That was a big story. Where was that?
They ratified the.
Yeah.
Well, we don't really cover elections.
That's
not really
like
our
our
world.
parallel
I mean,
universe.
No, but what about
I know.
cannabis companies in Ohio?
It's like
That's-
the 24th state to smoke weed. I don't really care anymore. But anyway, they're going to ratify the Constitution to preserve the right to abortion in Ohio. So definitely women in Ohio.
The amazing part about those votes is when you look at the abortion vote, it's very centered on like Columbus and the urban centers
Cleveland
in
or
Ohio,
Columbus,
obviously, right? But when you look at the marijuana vote, all of a sudden, all the dark red gets much lighter. Everyone's
Did
like,
weed pass by more than abortion? Is that what you're saying?
it very
Yeah.
slightly more. It
Really?
wasn't vastly different, but
Right.
but actually the gradient, as
spread.
in the way
More generous gradient.
it was much more
Yeah,
generous.
of
Like
course.
finally, everyone's come around to be like, you know what? We still want to control your health care, but I also want to be stoned while I do it. That's where we're
Let's not forget that this was the weird story where Republicans in the state acted like ESG people. Remember they tried to enact a supermajority clause to this
Yeah,
vote?
yeah, and that got shut down,
That
too.
failed, but they wanted 60% of the state to pass this before it would actually, not just a simple majority. I mean, they were really just fooling around.
because they knew that they probably can't get to 60,
It's
but they
crazy. I
can
know,
get
but
a
that's just-
majority.
Let's just
Satanic.
keep moving
It's
the
satanic.
goalposts.
Yeah.
Jesse, who do you have?
I have the National Women's Soccer League
Yes.
for the reason you've already talked about, the 40 times raise from their TV deal.
Okay,
Heck
you
yeah.
fools didn't pick the actual winner of the week, who is
Who?
Adam Newman.
He's already
You
the
Why?
winner.
don't want to
Guy-
give him that
Already
power.
a winner.
You don't have to like that he's the winner of the week, but he very
No.
clearly won the
Women
week.
in Ohio.
WeWork goes bankrupt. He's firing shots at the company, even though he is the
Being like,
reason why it went
I don't
bankrupt.
know how they messed this up.
He keeps $400 million in his pocket. He doesn't have to pay, and he's a billionaire. And now everyone's going to forget WeWork existed, and he's going to go on to Flow, and he's going to get funded by everybody. And he It's all coming up Newman. That's all I'm saying.
You're right. It's Women in Ohio. You're right.
I'm going to say I won the week because I got to host.
I mean, you're getting there.
So,
I want you to dominate.
but predictions. Anyone have some predictions?
I have a boring free flow analyticsy one. Can I go first? Get it
Yeah,
over
go
with?
first.
Because I know Matt hates my boring free flow analytics.
Yeah, I'm already
takes.
asleep.
So my theory is that Bob has found his next puppet, and that's Pepsi Vice Chair and CFO Hugh Johnston. Probably the successor to the throne at Disney. Why? Because he is already the audit chair at Microsoft and HCA Healthcare. And according to our data, he has no influence at either company.
That is
He's
correct.
someone eminently controllable. And that's what we know that Bob Iger needs
Loves.
and wants. He couldn't control Bob Chapek for whatever reason, so he got the people that he could control to get rid of him. But this is the perfect guy to control. He's clearly a lifer board member, and I'm not saying he's not skilled, but this is the right guy for Bob Iger to step away and control.
There are board circles, in which this new guy, Hugh Johnston, sits and overlaps with people from Disney. Not directly, but like they're all the
Newey,
same.
you said?
There's like Pepsi connections where he is, but there's Microsoft connections in because he's been on the Microsoft board. There's like Starbucks connections in there. There's a lot of weird connections in there.
And just to give you the actual data, according to our data, our influencer data, he controls 4% of the influence at Microsoft. Remember, Microsoft is not a dictatorship, and only 3% of the influence at HCA.
Wow, he's
easy to push around.
Hitting it out of the park.
Yeah.
Which I guess means Jesse, right?
My prediction is that if we keep allowing AI founders to create with no regulations, we're going to live in a world eerily similar to Orbit City, which is where the Jetsons
that's a good-
reside.
that's-
sounds great.
Wait, was that bad?
You want an AI personal assistant? Well,
Yes.
here it is. It doesn't sound
Flubber?
terrible. AI
See my
personal
house?
assistants, a 2-hour work week, and housekeeping
Well,
robots.
I don't need any of that. I like the part where you push a button and like your meal came up. Like I like that part of it.
Okay.
I loved the Jetsons.
I did too.
There's
But-
going to be a lot of PFAS in your meals, though.
True.
But, some stores are
now.
fighting machines. This grocery store chain in
good
England,
segue
I
there,
believe,
Ari. I like
Look at that.
they fired self-checkout machines. They're like, we're done with
Can
it.
you
they
call it
fired
firing if it's not an actual
Was it one of these-
sentient being?
Well,
Chinese
my
humanoid
prediction is that self-checkout machines are going to unionize.
stop.
They're
Yes,
gonna
I
make sure
love this.
No other grocery.
That's a good point,
Store
Ari.
chain
Do
will
you
fire
think
them.
the UAW will try to unionize the Chinese humanoid robots?
Yes.
When they launch,
Yeah.
you mean?
Do you think that's what's going to happen?
Hopefully,
That is
maybe
a
it will keep them in
fantastic
line.
prediction. I'm a little sad to go
Could be a good
last because the last one is the Armenians won.
That's not a
that's a-
prediction. That's a fact.
No, the group of people that nobody knew ever got discriminated against are now in the limelight
Except
for
for
getting
the genocide.
discriminated against,
That's sad.
except for the genocide. So I think the
It
Armenians
hasn't
won.
been a good 150 years for the Armenians.
It hasn't been great.
No.
Which, that's the end. Now I'm afraid to do the outro because you yelled at me the entire time
Yeah, I
every
like to
time
yell
I
at
did
you.
a
It's
thing.
fun.
Reminder, Matt does the outro every time.
I'll let Matt have the outro.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That's the show. We are Free Float. That is Hazelnut Rollis, Jesse the Money Whisperer, and Ari the Data
Hazelnut
Queen.
Rollis. I
I
actually like that.
am
I'm
an
okay with
analyst hole. Yeah, you taste disgusting.
I
though.
needed a nickname.
We need everybody to weigh in. Anyone who's listening to this show, hazelnut or not hazelnut coffee? We want to know.
Oh, I thought you could say Hazelnut Rollis.
Is
or
it
not
a
Hazelnut
woman
Rollis.
thing?
Is it a woman? That's right. Damien said it might be a woman.
Just like
According
Oreos.
to my anecdotal
Told Ari to
evidence
get off her
at-
period and stop drinking the
misogynistic
hazelnut.
comments.
At MSCI, it's absolutely a demonstrable fact that women prefer
Demonstrable.
hazelnut coffee.
There it is. We are Free Float. Come back next week when we do more of whatever it is we do. Until then, goodbye.